Dear students, this video is on the historiography of the Indian colonial economy. The historiography of the Indian colonial economy has evolved over the years with various perspectives and interpretations by the historians. First of all, let us discuss the traditional colonialist view of the pre-independence period. During the colonial period, the British historians they often presented a positive image of British rule, emphasizing modernization, economic development, and infrastructural improvements. They downplayed the negative aspects of exploitation and poverty. Next is the nationalist perspective, which developed during the late colonial period. Indian nationalist historians like Dadabhai Naoroji and R.C. Dept, they emphasized the economic drain from India to Britain through mechanisms like the drain theory. They highlighted the exploitation of Indian resources and economic hardships faced by the Indians. There is another theory called the dependency theory, which developed during the post-independence period. After India gained independence in 1947, scholars like Raghavan Iyer and Hamza Alavi, they adopted the dependency theory. They argued that colonialism had left a legacy of economic dependence on the West, hindering India's development. There are Marxist historians who gave a Marxist interpretation. Historians like Bipan Chandra and Irfan Habib, they examined colonial economy through class struggle and exploitation. They focused on the roles of capitalism and British imperialism in perpetuating the economic inequality. Then another theory, a very important theory, is put forward by the subaltern historians. So subaltern studies developed 1980s onwards. Subaltern historians, including Ranajit Guha and Dipesh Chakraborty, they offered a fresh perspective. They looked at the experiences of the marginalized groups, peasants, and laborers who were often overlooked in the mainstream historiography. There is another perspective, post-colonial perspective. Post-colonial scholars like Gyanendra Pandey and Partha Chatterjee, they question the Eurocentric biases of colonial history and highlighted the agency of Indians in shaping their economic destiny. Another view has come from the recent historians, which we call the revisionist view. So some recent historians have sought to revise the harsh critique of colonialism, acknowledging certain positive contributions such as the introduction of railways, legal system, and the spread of education. However, they don't downplay the exploitation and inequality during the colonial period. The historiography of the Indian colonial economy is very complex and multifaceted, reflecting wide range of ideological and methodological approaches. It has evolved over time with scholars offering various perspectives that continue to shape our understanding of this crucial period in Indian history. It is important to note that interpretations and perspectives within this historiography can vary, and the debate on the legacy of colonialism in India's economy it continues to evolve. Researchers often use primary sources, economic data, and interdisciplinary approaches to gain a deeper understanding of this complex history. So, the economic impact of colonialism, historians have debated the overall impact of British colonial rule on India's history. Some argue that colonialism led to economic exploitation, drain of wealth, and underdevelopment, while others contended that it brought modernization, infrastructural development, and integration into a global economy. The impact of British policies on Indian agriculture is a very significant topic. So, some scholars highlight the negative consequences, such as the imposition of cash crop cultivation, that is, commercialization of agriculture, and then British land revenue policies, and the displacement of traditional farming practices, while others argue that British intervention also introduced innovations and improved infrastructure. Regarding industrialization, the emergence of modern industry in colonial India is another very important area of study. While some historians emphasize the growth of industries like textile, steel, and shipbuilding, there are others who highlight the exploitation of Indian labor and resources for the benefit of British industries. Next, trade and globalization. So, colonialism transformed India's trade patterns and made it a part of the global economy. So, researchers discuss the impact of trade policies, tariffs, and the role of India as a supplier of raw materials to Britain. There are researches on famines and agrarian distress during the colonial period. During the colonial period, we come across many famine occurrences, which have been very extensively studied. So scholars investigate the causes, including the British economic policies and the responses of colonial authorities to these crises during the occurrences of famines. Then we have studies related to the infrastructural development during the colonial rule, and particularly we have works which refers how colonial rule brought about significant changes in transportation, communication, and infrastructure. So historians assess the impact of the railways, telegraph, then roads on the Indian economy. Then we have historiography, which examines labor migration, including the indentured labor system and its role in colonial economies, both within India and also its impact to other parts of the British Empire. So, the economic ideas of the Indian nationalists and their role in shaping Indian economic policies after independence are a very important subjects of study. It's very important to note that the historiography of colonial India is very rich, it is very diverse, it encompasses wide range of issues and wide range of themes. There are some key topics and debates within this field of study, like for example, the impact of colonialism. So scholars have explored the multifaceted impact of the British colonial rule on India, including its social, economic, and political and cultural consequences. Then there are debates which persist regarding whether colonialism led to exploitation and impoverishment, or it facilitated modernization and development. So the rise of Indian nationalism and the anti-colonial movements are a central theme of the Indian colonial historiography. So historians examine the origins, evolution, and strategies of the nationalist leaders and organizations, as well as the role of mass mobilization and civil disobedience. Then we have varied accounts on the religion as well as communalism during this period, which the studies refers to the communal tensions between different religious and ethnic groups in colonial India, particularly the Hindus and Muslims. These are subjects of historical inquiry. So researchers study the factors which contributed to the growth of colonialism and its impact on politics and society. Colonial historiography also delves into the complex relationship between colonialism and caste system. The efforts of the social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, then B.R. Ambedkar, how they challenged the caste-based discriminations and inequality during the colonial period are examined. Then gender dynamics under colonial rule are also explored, including the impact of socio-religious reform movements on women rights and the participation of women in the national struggle. The economic policies of the British Raj, including taxation, land revenue systems, and trade regulations, are analyzed for their effects on Indian society and economy. So the debates continue regarding whether colonialism drained wealth from India, to what extent colonialism drained wealth from India. Then the spread of modern education in colonial India and its role in fostering an intellectual awakening and the growth of a middle class are topics of interest. So the study of imperialism in the context of colonial India, it involves understanding how the British Empire operated and how Indians responded to the imperial rule, both collaboratively and also resistively. The recent historiography often focuses on specific regions within colonial India, revealing local variations in the impact of colonial policies and the emergence of regional identities as well as regional movements. So Indian historians or histories also explore the enduring legacies of colonialism during the colonial during contemporary India, including political structures, legal systems, and economic disparities. The subaltern studies collectively has been influential in highlighting the experiences and voices of the marginalized groups, challenging traditional historiographical approaches. And interactions with so there are researches into India's interactions with the other parts of the world during the colonial period, including trade, migration and cultural exchange, and all these sheds a light on India's global connection. So these themes and issues continue to evolve as histories evolve as historians employ diverse methodologies and perspectives to reinterpret and expand their understanding of the colonial Indian history.